What we share is different, you and I, Cleopatra told her time and again. We are sisters, and that bond cuts deeper than ordinary blood. No one, not father, not anyone, will ever come between us. And so, since Arsinoe had been old enough to totter, she trailed her sister down to the river, and watched and waved as Cleopatra was borne away on their father's adventures. To witness the incarnation of the new Apis bull at Memphis, or to oversee the festival of Amun-Ra at Thebes, or as now to cross the waves to Rhodes, perhaps, or even as far as Rome. And then, alone, she would weep. You can't run to the ships in your underthings. My sister won't care what I wear. Your father will, her nurse said. You must dress as fits a princess. Dressing, bathing, combing, all that took too long. This wasn't some idle voyage up the Nile to check the river's rise. Cleopatra sailed over the sea. No one would tell her where, or when her sister would return. It could be months. Arsinoe didn't have time for braids and jewels and other niceties. Grown-ups never understood these things. If you say I must. She took a step, slow, tentative, toward Berenice, and then she turned and bolted from the room. Arsinoe! Berenice's voice chased her. Arsinoe! She slipped past her pair of sentries and ran down the stairs. Soldiers swarmed the small piazza below. The sisters' courtyard, she and Cleopatra called it. That ran in her favour. Their numbers would only swell when she reached the great courtyard. Achilles and Agamemnon, as she had named her two guards, were men grown. They'd catch her quickly in an open race, but they had no skill for obstacles. Weighed down by heft, by armour, and by age, they couldn't follow as she weaved through the gaps and bays of the crowd. She darted through the private porticos onto the public ones, past beaming dryads and mauled lions, axe-wielding hunters and sneering sphinxes, until she raced through the eastern gate, and the whole world opened on the sands. Breathless, she gazed over the beach, the docks, the sea. Against the squinting sun, she spotted her prize. Her father's round ship, crimson sails unfurled against the blue. At its prow, Thessaloniki, the great Alexander's sister, transmuted to mermaid form, rose and fell upon the waves. The sand burned her soles, spurred her on. Ahead, the docks stretched into the unending sea. The shore lay barren. Where were the dancers and pipers, the priests and soothsayers, the nobles and vagrants to see off the voyage? Only a tangle of aging soldiers, too old and worn to tend the king, stood by, spitting whispers over wooden posts. Wait! Arsinoe cried out. No one listened. A gruff man, 50 if he was a day, set his blade against the rope that bound her sister to the shore. Arsinoe ran to him and yanked his hand away from the cord. Get off me, girl! Snarling, he wiped her fingers from his arm. I am no girl. I am the king's daughter. King Ptolemy's daughter is already on board, with the king. Stunned, she fell silent. No one spoke to her that way. As though she wasn't even born of her father's seed. As though her blood counted for nothing. She wasn't the favourite. Had never been, would never be. The king's third daughter, and his last. She knew where she stood among her siblings. But commoners, courtiers, soldiers, they always treated her with deference. I've orders, girl, the man spat. His knife split the twine. Clea! She screamed. Cleopatra! Arsinoe scanned the ship.